Okay, the next step in really gaining control of our money, becoming rich, wealthy, and ultimately that leading to freedom is to understand the flow of our money and where our expenses come from and why so many of us at the end of the month, end of the payday, we have no money left in our accounts. Why does that happen? And we ask ourselves so often, where's all my money gone? Well, this next section, we're going to look at where has all my money gone? And hopefully this should be really helpful for you. The first thing we want to do is look at some key terms that will help us when we think about the flow of our money. Okay, so some of the key terms are our income. This is what the majority of us have coming in at the beginning of a month from our 9-to-5 job. And as we looked at earlier, we want that income to move away from being primarily about a 9-to-5 job and that it comes in through our investments instead. Expenses, that's money that goes out. Rent, water, heating, phone, internet, car, so many things. It just goes right out, and most of us have direct debits and it goes out at the beginning of the month, so our money comes straight in. At the end of the month it's just gone. Our assets, these are the things that put money into our pockets. Often we get confused of what are actually assets. And in this section we're going to look at what actually are assets. But these are things that ultimately put money into our pockets, into our bank account, but don't take it out again. Liabilities, these are the things that take money out of our pockets. So for example, a car is an obvious liability. It's quite expensive to run a car. However, it's one of those things that the majority of us really do need. So there you go. Income, that's money that comes in. Expenses, that's money that goes out. Assets, that's things that put money into our pockets. And liabilities, those are the things that take money out of our pockets. Let's look at how the poor handle money. The poor spend all their income on expenses and end up broke, and this is the process. They're employed or self-employed and they get their wage at the beginning of the month and they're happy. Way! That's why I spin round, you see, because they're happy. But then straight away they've got expenses, rent, car expenses, travel expenses, gas, heating, electricity, etc., taxes. And that's not so great. They may have some savings, but the poor generally don't have savings, and if they do, they go straight into it and pull out extra money to pay for their expenses. And so the poor end up broke at the end of each month, living month to month. They look as though they have money. They seem to have nice cars, nice houses, nice jobs. They spend income on expenses and ever-increasing liabilities, which create more expenses, and they are still broke. And remember, what liability is something that takes money out of our pocket. Let's look at this. So they're employed, self-employed, or maybe even have a business, and they get a wage. They're happy, beginning of the month. Yippee! And with that, they then go to their liabilities, because they can spend that wage, or they feel as though they can spend that wage on a nice car, on the holidays, on the private school, on the nice house, on the toys. And then out of that, the leftover money, they pay for their expenses. So they have two sets of expenses, and the liabilities become expenses. So for example, they put their holidays on credit. They pay for their holiday every month, a little bit every month, and then they pay for the nice car a little bit every month. They pay their rent or mortgage a little bit every month. They put their toys on credit cards. And at the end of the month, they still have to scrape some money together, so they probably go into their savings, and that ultimately leaves them broke. The difference between the poor and the middle class is the middle class can hide the fact that they're broke in much nicer houses and much nicer cars. But actually there's a lot of people who live in nice houses and drive nice cars who are actually very poor.